I was about to ask, I forget if you start immediately after the clap, but then I was like, well, if I ask the question, then I'm going to ruin the... if they do, if the answer is yes, then I've already fucked it up.
Ruin the clap.
I ruined it! Hello, and welcome to In Sequence, a comics podcast for everyone. My name is AJ, and these are your panelists. Hello, panelists.
Hello, I'm Matt.
Hello, I'm Jillian.
I'm Robin.
And I am Scout.
And today, we are going to be talking about a tabletop role-playing game book called Triangle Agency. Sorry, hi, I'm here. I'm just...
Yeah, you should introduce yourself, too.
I've never... I am the guest, but not an unfamiliar face to the team, I suppose. I do the editing along with Matt. So I've ostensibly listened to every episode, but not really. I've listened to many episodes.
Wow, AJ hates us.
AJ is the unseen fifth host, like the ghost host. I feel like
The ghost.
the ghost.
The host that haunts the narrative.
Yeah, I'm the little blue guy hopping around the podcast, making sure everything works well. How's it going? I like know the format of the show, but I'm like, I haven't actually hosted it before, so I'm like, now do I talk more or do I just go right into the front matter, or are we like doing a...
AJ, you're doing amazing.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to go into it because I'm very excited. I pitched this one today.
Yes.
Which is why I am here and also why I am in the driver's seat, regrettably, for you, not for me. I'm having a great time. We're talking about Triangle Agency today. Hopping to the front matter, Triangle Agency is a 2024 tabletop role-playing game designed by Caleb Zane Hewitt and Sean Ireland with art direction by Ryan Kingdom. And since this is a rule book, a kind of, it's different than anything that y'all have ever talked about on the show before, there's a long list of credits. So I'm just going to read through the illustrators and the layout designers very quick. Illustrations in this book by Kanisha Bryant, Corviday, G.C. Houle, Ryan Kingdom, Codicy, Nathan Rhodes, and Michael Schillingsberg, and layout design by Ben Mansky and Michael Schillingberg, who is married to Caleb Zane Hewitt, with layout assistance from Caleb Zane Hewitt. I bring up the marriage portion of it because this will be in the back matter as well, but there's a podcast where Caleb and Sean are talking about the creation of this book, and they said if they actually had to hire Michael, if Michael wasn't one of their spouses, they would have had to double the Kickstarter goals just to pay him his full rate.
Damn. Get that friends and family discount.
Yeah.
Shout out, Michael. This is a game published by Haunted Table Games, who is Caleb Zane Hewitt and Sean Ireland. This is their first published endeavor.
You're kidding me. I'm sorry.
Yes. So they've worked on they've worked on stuff. I think Caleb has done like some Minecraft novels and like other like actual, has been like commissioned to write books and stuff. And Sean as well. So that's not their first like foray into putting something into the world, but this is their first. It's their first Kickstarter, and it is their first like published game. Which is wild.
Damn, they're fucking doing the damn thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot, but the Kickstarter campaign for this fucking banged. It was so good, and it was so well marketed, and it was just like there's I'm just going to keep referencing this over and over again. It'll be in the show notes as well. But there's a conversation with the guys from Many-Sided Media. They have a show called Talk of the Table where they talk to game designers and stuff. And they have a whole episode about Kickstarter campaigns and the Triangle Agency Kickstarter campaign with Caleb and Sean. And Brian, one of the hosts, just kept talking about how like when he was seeing Triangle Agency out in the wild, he had just assumed it was a game that he had missed that has like been around for a while. And it was not. They just had such a great and strong like vision and construction of every single piece of it. Which, I mean, I don't know. I just like holding the physical book in my hand. It's got like red foil where the suitcase opens and stuff. It's just like, it's all supremely well put together from the outside to the inside. A lot of TTRPGs come with their own lore, which is kind of, there's like world building and NPCs and which is, I guess, non-player characters. I think I have to be a little more specific because this is a comic show and not a TTRPG show. So non-player characters. So anybody that the game master the person running the game is playing. They are NPCs. So there's like those things are kind of baked into these kinds of rule books. But very often with like something like Dungeons and Dragons, like there is a world and there are like gods and there are like reasons for magic and blah, 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 blah. But that stuff you can like broadly kind of leave behind you when you're actually playing the game at the table with your friends, especially when you're just like by yourself reading the book. But this rule book is full of lore, and the book itself is a totem of that lore. And so it's like kind of impossible to separate those things, even when you're in this like singular mode of like, I'm reading this book so I can learn the rules to teach other people or whatever, which is just so interesting. And to speak on a little bit of what the game actually is, and then I'll stop talking. Triangle Agency is a D4 based. So you're rolling those little weird pyramid triangle shaped dice, trying to roll threes. Threes are successes. Nothing else is a success. Mission based. So every session ostensibly should be like an episode of like X-Files or like Supernatural or like a serialized sort of thing like that. Yeah, D4 based, mission based TTRPG in the style of media like Control by Remedy Games, Severance on Apple TV, and just broadly the kind of lore behind the SCP Foundation online. It's kind of grabbing from media of that type from all over the mediascape. And man, I really love this book. I'm very, very, very happy to be talking about it today. What did you all think of the book?
It ruled.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yes! Thank God.
I mean,
That's not even like a pun because it's a rule book.
because it's
Hey,
rule.
yeah. Oh God.
No, I had a great time reading this. To be totally honest, when you pitched it, I'm like conceptually down to broaden the definition of comics, but also was like, the reality that could like turn out to, I could turn out to have nothing to say about it. And that
Absolutely.
is not the case here
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think starting to read it, I was having an enjoyable time, and I was reading along, and I was like, oh yeah, there is sort of like there's a lot of kind of stuff that feels more like voicey, more lore here, but I don't know that I'm a little concerned because I'm not necessarily seeing something akin to like sequential storytelling or like a narrative thing here, and then you get to a point and you go
Yeah.
It's the only rule book I've ever read that has a plot twist in it. Like, it's wild. It's incredible.
Exactly.
So fun.
Here. So as somebody who like has been running a lot of different games for quite some time, this is one of the few rule books I will say that like makes being the game director, the GM, whatever you want to call it, like the most thrilling part of reading the rule book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is like a supremely fun book to read. Like I was picking this up when I first got it. Like I was picking it up to read it like because I was looking forward to reading it and not like, well, I want to learn how like, chaos points work or whatever. I was just like, I can't wait to figure out like what new like design thing they're going to throw at me. And then Caleb and Sean talk about the second voice in the book. This is kind of how they like spoiler free kind of talk about the stuff that's going on in this book. And just anytime the second voice stuff would pop up was just like, so it was like candy. I was like, I have to keep going so I can figure out what the fuck this voice is.
Yeah. I think, AJ, you were trying to be very mindful of the fact that this is like a lot of text. Like we normally read stuff that's it might be as many pages, but it's far less text. So you were like, skim this part, just pay attention to the design of this part. Don't read these pages at all. That's fine. I read the majority of this book. Like I could not stop. Even the rules are like they're written in a very compelling way. Like the parts that don't feed into the narrative. It's like it's so compelling and so voicey. Like it is all in the book itself is in character, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, even in that initial voice, just like the corporate doublespeak of it.
Yeah,
I found it enjoyable to read. I really didn't even start like skimming things until I was like in like the character building stuff. I would read like the story stuff and then get the the ideas of like the abilities, and then I would just like skip all the numbers and all that.
Mm-hmm. One of the earliest things you see in the book is a terms and conditions page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love. My favorite thing in the terms and conditions is the bullet that says the text in this volume may not be interpreted.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that is the most nothing and everything sentence that they could possibly put together and read.
My favorite thing was when I first opened up the PDF, because originally this was like, I opened up this PDF way before we even like talked about doing this on the show, because originally I was like, oh, maybe I'll run this sometime. And the first thing I did was I opened up this book and it says, wait, you're not authorized to proceed until you've read the terms and conditions located just to your left.
Yeah.
If you read this page first because of the large text, dramatic iconography, or because it seemed more approachable, you are an easy target for weaponized visual design. We've noticed this in your file. And I was like, God damn, they got me, because I did sure look at that page first.
They get you so many times.
This game bullies you.
It's really good.
The go-tos, one of them takes you to like A1 behind the playwall.
Yes.
And if you read that page, your eyes are drawn to A2 immediately. And I thought I was reading the right one. And then like a paragraph in, it's like, you will receive a demerit for reading this.
Yes.
I have a really funny story about that, because AJ called that out as the first playwall visual gag, like that 2-page spread.
Yeah.
But then when I was reading it, I wasn't paying attention so much to the fact that it was a 2-page spread. I am the agency's perfect target, because I went and I read A1, did not register anything that was happening on the second half of that spread. I had to go back later and be like, oh shit, that was the visual gag that I was supposed to read A2 as well. But I didn't, because I don't break the rules.
Yeah,
you're going to be a great agent.
you would be a
Shit,
great agent.
I also did not realize I was supposed to read that page. I was like, no, that has to be A2. It says A2 up in the corner.
Exactly.
It's so good. The comedic timing of this book, for lack of a better way to phrase it, like, is so good. Like, if you go right into the book and you read the terms and conditions, you're immediately given a gag. Like, you're treated to a gag. You know, you get that great line, you know, the volume may not be interpreted. You also, there's a section that says, there is no need for this, but if it generates positive feelings, you may sign your name as a reminder of the important life decision you're making of your own will. And so you get that gag if you read it correctly, but then if you go to the right page, you also are gifted with a gag instantly on the first page of the book. It is just so well considered and well laid out and well designed, and it's just an unbelievable thing to me.
They're delivered so well too, because it's like you see this terms and conditions thing, you get the joke that they're going for this very like corporate speak kind of thing, and you can kind of just assume this last line is going to say sign here or whatever, so you can very easily just skim it and assume you know what it means. But if you take a second to look, it is like, it's making fun of you. Like, it's great. Even though like the text in this volume may not be interpreted is so fascinating, because it's like, when you first look at it, if you've played a lot of tabletop game, well, if you haven't played tabletop games, you're like, oh, that's just a funny, weird joke. I don't really know what it means, but it's a funny joke. If you've played a lot of tabletop games, you get that is like the antithesis of what a tabletop rulebook is. Like, you must interpret to play.
Yeah.
But then if you go back to this after reading the rest of this rulebook, you also understand that is part of the story. Like, what, to like start to spoil things, what the Triangle Agency fictionally doesn't want you to do is interpret things for yourself. So there's like all these layers to what it's doing, depending on like what knowledge you're bringing into it, which is just so good.
Yeah. I think to touch on the lore and like the world of the game briefly, I have a couple of bullet points, because if we're going to like start getting into it, then I think it would be helpful to have this kind of baseline. So we've been saying this whole time, the book is written, you know, it's got a voice, it's written from a perspective. That perspective is of the Triangle Agency. So according to the book, the Triangle Agency is, quote, a private corporation dedicated to understanding and containing paranormal phenomena in the modern world, known as anomalies, end quote. The agency published this game that you're holding in your hand or reading in the PDF to help train new field agents, was what the game calls players. They're also called resonants because they have superpowers, basically, under the direction of a general manager, which also, funnily enough, has the abbreviation GM.
Really good. exceptional wordplay. Yeah.
As opposed to Game Master. The GM's goal is to set up scenarios for residents to solve using their anomalous abilities while remaining in compliance with agency guidelines. Depending on how many players, and the book does this fun thing where it we'll put things in triangular brackets, and so it'll say players/agents and stuff like that, which I just think is very funny. I liked when Control did that as well. I just think it's a great gag.
This book even has a call out to that,
Yeah.
basically, that gives an in-fiction reason for why stuff appears in brackets, which is right on that same page. Yeah, human flaw alert. It is possible. It is possible that weak-willed individuals may perceive certain information in brackets like this. This is a known side effect of the psychological friction that comes from the tabletop role-playing game technique clashing with your lived experience. It should reduce in frequency as you acclimate to your position.
It's so good. So depending on how much players comply or break the rules that are given by the agency, they are given commendations or demerits, both of which are within the game currency that can be spent to unlock moves and stuff like that. Throughout the book, readers will encounter things that appear to be printing errors with greater and greater frequency. There are lore reasons for that, but that's spoiler stuff that we'll get to in a bit. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the lore of the game. Is you are either a general manager or a field agent who is getting ready to kind of take on this new initiative, this tabletop initiative, they call it, to basically train people into following rules well, because that is what the agency demands. So I just baseline of that, I guess. When I first saw this game out in the wild, I'd seen the Kickstarter stuff and it was so I don't know. I don't mean this in a derisive way or anything, but it was so obviously riffing on stuff like Control and bureaucratic horror in this way that I was okay, I get it. And I understand what the gag's going to be, but I don't necessarily think a gag or strong visual design does not a good game make necessarily. So I didn't back it at the time, but then the year leading up to that, people doing playtests and it getting kind of wider, tabletop media coverage, people are this is maybe one of the best games I've ever played. And is just a supremely fun experience on all accounts. And so that really, really, roped me into it. And I don't feel the voice of the agency doesn't get stale, I think, because of the second voice kind of also popping in every once in a while to be hey, this sucks or whatever. Which I also feel in itself could have gotten old. So it's just really well written and really well paced and stuff. So I don't really have anything more to say about it.
Yeah.
Well, even reading it, I was this sounds neat as an alternative tabletop game. I like that you're rolling 6d4s and there's how many threes is there's just interesting evolutions on existing mechanics and stuff. And I mean, I like this kind of creepy setting. But I also was I still don't kind of see what is special here other than it's well visually designed and has cool theming. And then you meet the second voice and I was oh, I get it. It's supposed to be kind of rote and samey at the beginning until you know a little bit more about what's going on.
But I think it also keeps you very hooked in that samey part too, because I often think the funniest when people, sometimes you play tabletop games with people and they're I'm going to make a joke character. I'm going to be the ice cream man and my whole thing, it's just shit, whatever. And it kind of gets old after a while. And I always think the funniest characters to play are ones that are dead serious, because you can kind of you can just bounce whatever off of them then. And that's kind of what the agency voice does here, where there are these such flat sentences. I'm looking at page 12 here, and the first thing you read is the sentence, "The universe was not meant to be observed," which is it's full of sentences like that just strike you at, they're just so bizarre but so delivered as if it's saying the weather outside is nice, that it makes it really compelling, that you want to figure out why it is written this way, and you eventually do figure that out, which makes it more compelling in retrospect.
Yeah, I think even the follow-up to that line, "The universe was not meant to be observed," observation creates thought shapes reality.
So yeah, you could take it one step further and be like, why do we not like thought? Like, why do you want us to not think?
Yeah, wait, what's wrong with thought? Like, why are we? Yeah, exactly.
Why? Yeah, thought shapes reality. Yeah, that's like being alive and being a person, and
And that's bad.
that's bad. It turns out.
Turns out that's bad.
I think Scout and I talked about this in our Discord chat a little bit, but like this concept has a lot of overlap with the Department of Truth. This idea that you can sort of like think things into existence, and specifically like I'll go with problems is the word I'm going to use. Think problems into existence, right? Think
things that are dangerous into existence.
Yeah, and that is, and like the whole like premise of this is that there are these anomalies which are like thoughts taken shape, and like, you know, spun out of control. And, you know, the fiction of the Department of Truth is more that like the more people believe something, that actually becomes true and always has been true. And so it's sort of like a war between truths that people want to exist.
Right. And it's filtered specifically in Department of Truth through the lens of conspiracy theories and like the ability of conspiracy theories to become true through collective thought.
Yeah.
Which is like similar. There's a lot of like shared DNA, and they're doing two different things with it, which is fun to see.
Yeah, it's very much like in this case, like very clearly one party has all the power, whereas like the book we read, you know, last time was much more about like warring powers that are in some ways equal.
Talking about power, I just like, and I know we're kind of like talking about two pieces right now, but like saying one group has all the power, I think is really interesting, because like the more you read this book, and especially as you get into the second half of the book, you realize that like the agency doesn't really have as much power as they want you to think it does.
Yeah.
But it's really important that you think they have a lot of power, because as they say, thoughts shape reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that or not interesting. It just does a very good job of like, I forgot at times in the first half of the book that like I'm reading this as like a participant in the narrative. You know what I mean? Like opening this book and reading it, like you are put into a role as like the general manager or field agent. Like they are addressing you as a character in this world as well.
Yeah.
And I think not until the second half, when there's like a moment that directly calls out like the role the general manager is supposed to play, of like, you could maybe create a fictional general manager who's like always wears a button-up shirt and like slicks their hair to the side in order to like not confuse yourself with your outside body or whatever. And it was like not until that moment that I was like, right, okay, I am in this book. Like this book is like, I am a character in this world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It is propaganda
in a way,
directed at your character as much as it
Yes.
is a rule book directed at the player.
Literally, I was about to say I've never read a rule book. I've never read a rule book that is propaganda.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like it lies to you. And that's the brilliant thing that you don't realize until you get like deeper into it. It is telling you things in certain sections of the book that are not true about the fiction or like even the game necessarily, which is just so, I don't know, it's so smart. It's so interesting.
I mean, even the basic mechanic of commendations and demerits, right?
Yeah.
Like the way it presents those things to you is just backwards.
Yeah, one of the first notes that I took, like I take notes as I'm going along, and one of the first ones I took was like, interesting that the game is sort of actively discouraging bending and breaking rules via the demerit system, because that's how usually, you know, in TTRPGs, it's about wanting to bend and break the rules, or the book giving you explicit permission to bend and break the rules. But this is actively giving you, a negative consequence to bending or breaking the rules. And then you get deeper into the book and you're like, oh no, demerits are actually not, they are that for the agency, but when you're playing the game, it's not.
Right.
Which I think is going to be, so I offered to one of my groups that I play with. I was like, oh, hey, DM, if you want a little break, I'll run this game. Because he saw the art and everything. He was like, this weird fleshy Kermit has brought me in. I'm in. And I'm so interested to see how, like, this game will go in play when I am running something for folks who will just have the field guide.
Yes. the concept of that you as the general manager read something that completely transforms the text,
how the game is supposed to be played.
Yes.
Where it's like, no, you need to always get, like, demerits are great. You need to always get as many demerits as you can. Whereas on the field guide, it's like, nope, don't do it.
Don't get demerits.
I'm so fascinated. I haven't watched any, unfortunately, any playthroughs, but I feel like that is such a fascinating way of kind of playing around with the way a tabletop RPG works. Because usually, like, in a lot of them, it's like, yeah, the GM has their secret stuff, but the GM's playing the same game as you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And this feels like it is somehow a totally different game. But the thing that I think is really masterful about it, and I haven't seen this game in play, but at least the way that it's written, obviously, oftentimes play can end up looking a lot different than what is presented to you in the book. But at least the way it's written, it feels so much like it is doing all of this stuff to complicate table goals between the players and between the GM, and making something that is kind of adversarial without actually making it antagonistic.
Yes.
Which, like, if you have, like, a constant, very common source of drama or strife at a tabletop RPG table is conflict where the GM is trying to win against the players, or one player is trying to win against the other players, and, like, people are not behaving in the space in a collaborative manner. And this is, like, actively discouraging you from being 100% transparent in your collaboration, but somehow it doesn't ever feel mean-spirited either. It feels like a weird puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, is it's not oppositional. It's not like there are there's like sort of a, I don't know, misconception, I think, sometimes that people think like the GM of a game is like playing against you sometimes, but there are some games that that set that up where you are supposed to be in opposition. That's not really what's going on. It's just that, like, the goals that the players are told to have are not the goals. They're not the full spectrum of goals they could have. And so as a GM, you see more goals that they could be working toward, but you're also told that they shouldn't know about all the possible goals. So it's like, it's not antagonistic and it's not oppositional, but it's like, it's asymmetrical, like you are playing different games, but going for, like, the same end. It's so fascinating.
The playwall helps with that too.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, if you do enough, you get to unlock some extra secrets, and then that kind of gives you a hint that, like, oh, there's something deeper going on here.
Yeah, the thing that's really interesting that you don't get necessarily just from going from reading through, for me, it was like skimming through the playbooks and stuff and then getting into the GM stuff. You then sort of, I started framing everything through the GM lens, but then sort of as you get deeper into the GM stuff, you also see that, like, basically the way that your character progression works, like the leveling system in this game, is actually the vehicle through which the players will get more information about the world and the lore and the secrets, and what the agency is keeping from them ends up getting opened up as the character progression moves on.
Which I think is so cool.
Like, you learn what game you're playing by breaking the rules of the game you're playing. Like, it's so smart.
And I think it's such an interesting thing, because I feel like that for a lot of players, or like a large number of players, maybe not a lot, but like a large number of players is like, I just want to fuck up whatever's going on. Like my DM or GM has a plan, and like I am kind of just playing this agent of chaos, and I'm doing whatever I want. And like sometimes that can be fun. Sometimes that can be really annoying. But like the game kind of flips that dynamic where they're having the GM, like we've all been saying, but like they're having the GM trying to make the players begin to break the rules.
It's like setting a trap for those players, where it's like, you thought you were fucking me up, but in fact you were doing the right thing. Like, it's great.
Right, you're winning now, actually. And I had planned for this all along. But and that's a part of what I also think is so interesting about them, like having you as a GM, like put on a character, because like you're playing this character and the second voice tells you like you want to have them get as many demerits as possible, but if you do it too hard, too fast, the agency will find out and will like terminate you or whatever. And like, there are mechanics in this game. Like there are 100 pages of playwalled content, most of which that I have not read. This is a 300-page book, for the record. So like an entire third of this book is secret stuff that you will unlock with the demerits, or I mean, I guess also with commendations. But like, and so I assume there's something in there of like, if your players earn demerits too fast, you are deemed a bad general manager, and you are like fired, and you have to like make a new general manager character or whatever, like come up with a new persona.
I really, really love the concept of the GM themselves being a character in this game. I think that is such a fantastic thing. And even if it's not like the GM doesn't have a playbook in the way that the players do, but there is still something specific about like the text is encouraging you to characterize the decisions that you make as a game runner in a way that is different from most books, any other tabletop RPG book that I've read to date, in a way that is so delightful to me.
Yeah. I just want to read how the game like gives you this kind of seed to go with as a GM if you want. It's another one of those like terms and service like warning windows, but it says contractulations. If you are reading this document, you have been selected to for the most rewarding role on any field team, general manager. General managers are an important human resource and thus are part of the human resources division and do not ever leave their branch's headquarters. They exist within and without the tabletop role-playing game, in quotes, that you are playing. If you would like, you may decide on a different identity for the version of yourself who lives inside the headquarters. Perhaps one with a professional haircut or a reasonable interest in model trains. And then bold text, irrevocable contract sentence incoming. Simply by reading, quote, simply by reading in this sentence, you have agreed to become a general manager for Triangle Agency. The shape of your thoughts has created a binding mental imprint, and the second and third instances of the phrase simply by reading in this paragraph are a redundancy in triplicate of your agreement. So just like throwing this idea out of like, I think this feeling I feel like many GMs have where they're kind of like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I guess I have to. And the game kind of like stripping you, the person reading the book, like stripping you of that responsibility and being like, well, no, you're not doing it because nobody else would. You're doing it because you read the irrevocable contract sentence, like, and you have to do it now. You know, like it's putting you in this mindset of like, well, even if I didn't want to do it, I have to because I read the sentence.
I like that immediately after that is the 2-page spread for the GM toolkit, and it just big splash across there. Nice one, idiot.
Nice one, idiot. I think before we get into the actual second half GM like portion of this stuff more specifically, were there any like pieces of art throughout this or like pieces of design throughout this first half of the book that like really, really grabbed you?
There's two for
so
me.
So many.
Please, yeah.
And they're like a hint at like the things to come. On page 122, are we at 120? Are we including 122? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like the section that either field agents or GMs can read.
Yeah.
On the work-life balance section, you start to see things starting to break up, and it's not 100% clear there's a voice yet, but like instead of black bars, it's like a blue bars covering a bunch of text. And the blue bars cover enough text that this is how it reads. We caution strongly against spending time dwelling on your anomaly as it could seriously rule. Furthermore, blue nice.
Exclamation point.
Nice.
Blue nice exclamation point really got me.
And another one that I'm not 100% sure is this like second character in the book or not is pretty far back. It's actually the like your character is made up of like three things. It's the anomaly. I'm going to forget what they are. The reality and the
competency is the reality.
Competency.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so you hit like your anomaly is basically your superpowers. And the piece of design that I love is for the anomaly absence.
Yes.
That's great.
Most of the text on this page is grayed out, and the only things that are left in blue are BEWARE, beware.
Yeah, it's great.
It's super good. And also the drawing below of like the animal made out of like posters.
It's like a Cheshire cat almost.
I love the missing animal cat, like the missing person's cat is really good.
It's really good. I really enjoyed the like illustrations for the competencies.
That's what, yeah.
Just the like blank human with the very like stark black lines and pointillism with the like fill in red, kind of that contrast looks really good. And I really liked the CEO and intern.
I literally,
that was the one that I was about to call out.
Wouldn't work in the physical printing.
I didn't see this until right this second.
In the PDF, because the CEO one bleeds into the intern one, but if you're looking at it in a book, you would not like immediately register that.
Yeah, the CEO,
so that was really fun.
The CEO illustration and the intern illustration are actually one illustration that is cut in half. Yeah, exactly. Yes, AJ has posted it in the group chat.
Losing my mind. That's wild. Holy shit.
Yeah, and the fact that it only works in the PDF and it's like a thing that you only see if you are a PDF reader is so clever.
What's funny is I didn't see this because I read in panels left to right.
So I read it more like only, it's actually only if you're looking at the 2-page spread PDF.
Yeah. Right. So what it is, to explain, is the CEO illustration is like someone kicked back on their desk, legs crossed, smoking a cigar, and they've got like a pile of papers under them. And if you are in the PDF, you can scroll down to see below that is the intern holding up the pile of papers and filing cabinets with the CEO sitting on top of it, which is like such a cool visual gag. Yeah, like you said, only works in the scroll. It's just so good.
That's so interesting. There's so many comics designed to be scrolled. I don't think I've ever seen another book have even a design element that was meant to be scrolled. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like part of that is a large part of the reason that I wanted, like, that I felt comfortable pitching this book, because of like the design, like thought and language that went into this book is just so unlike any other. Like, this is essentially this is a dumb comparison, but it's like if all TTRPG rulebooks were written in English, it's like this is written in Old English. It's like, it's basically kind of the same, but like, it's not. It's very different. Like, this is written with such a different sensibility than like any other, like RPG book I've read, like indie RPG, zine, like compendium. Like it's different than all of those. And it's so unique. Yeah. The one I was going to call out was The Absence as well. That was like one of the first times reading through this book that I was like, Jesus Christ. Like I had to stop and just like look. I also really love when it introduces the 4-sided dice, and it's using these like 3D images of dice. And then on the second page, like there's like an error message that pops up that says something has gone wrong. And then the following page is just basically all text, like laid out in like like a table style, just like as limited in terms of like assets as possible. And then they like slowly introduce more in the next page. But then the spread after that, the transcendence spread, which is just all red with white text, it's incredible to look at.
Yeah, I love how much they make you feel like this is a computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the pop-up windows, and then later on when things start to fall apart. It's really neat.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you go, Rob.
No.
Okay. There's a bunch of stuff that I am only noticing upon looking at it the second time after reading through the GM section and being introduced to the second voice. There's a bunch of stuff in these early pages, even as early as page 27, where I'm noticing like, oh, this is the second voice sneaking in. It is in here. It is like watching, and it is becoming more and more present. But the first time reading through, I was just like, oh, this is just kind of like, sort of a cheeky design choice. Like it's non-diegetic in that way. Like it's not part of the storytelling. It's just part of the graphic design. And now it's like, oh no, this was doing a storytelling thing.
Yeah.
Well, even like page 25, if you look at the page number, it's like upside down in blue.
Upside down, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's like basically what I was going to start getting into as well, which is the color red represents like the triangle agency throughout this book. Yeah. And there are bits here, like whenever it talks about your anomaly, which is like your power, or an anomaly in the sense of the sort of enemies you're fighting, those are in blue. And so you kind of just make this association that like, oh, anomaly, when they talk about anomalies, they just use the color blue. And then you start to see that like when these little breaks happen, like the upside down number, or there's like those kind of like fake printing error things, those are always blue. blue. So you start to like, whenever you see the color blue, things start getting a little weird, and there are like inconsistencies in either like the text or the voice or something, so that when you get to, you know, what I've referred to as the plot twist in this book, you kind of already understand what is happening before they really explain it to you, which is just such a smart way of just using color to say like, this is a different thing. Like these are different stories being told at the same time.
One other small thing I want to call out that's less art related and more kind of design related. Did y'all notice along the left side of most of the pages the like progress bar that goes down depending on what section you're in, and the farther that you're down into a section, the arrow will be lower down on the line running alongside the left page.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then when you get to the end of the section, there's a little check mark next to the arrow, and then when it goes to the next section, the arrow's now at the top again. It's so fun. It's so cool, and just like that little choice is like, why is that in there? And it's just because it's fun and cool. Like, why not?
Because it's fun and cool.
Yeah.
I do want to point out talk about briefly what I think is my favorite of like the anomaly playbooks, which is Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Good.
It's just called Gun, and then there's a picture of a rock, and underneath that it says, it's a gun.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about Gun, picture of a rock, it's a gun.
I love that the
My
picture of
favorite-
the rock very clearly has like blood on it.
Yeah, I saw that, and the first thing I thought was like, that's the rock that Cain hit Abel.
God.
Honestly, I think that could be the intention there for real.
Yeah.
Because like the way it talks about the gun, a sentence ended, a life ended, a hope grand and genuine for something attainable and beautiful ended. Like it does not want you to pick the gun. Like if you pick the gun as your anomaly, it's like you're a bad person. The only thing you can do is kill. Like there's
so
nothing else that this is made to do.
That comes after like 5 other anomalies, which are like, you can like change the thing a person said, or you can like interpret things a different way, or you can make a small object appear. These are like the abilities that you get for each anomaly. The first ability you get for the anomaly gun is eliminate. You can remove a mundane object or person from the equation permanently. Once they existed, now they do not. Like it is so much more powerful in a very specific way than anything else in the game, which is like such a choice. Like that is, it's a thing. I don't know. People use balance as like a goal in game design, and this is like not balanced for a very clear reason. And it just rules. Like they are trying. It's like a warning against it. You know.
Yeah.
It also feels like it is, like, to me, I can't look at this and not feel as though it's in conversation with concepts around players in certain TTRPGs. Like, specifically, like, you hear about this with D&D guys that are like, I'm just here for the combat. All I want to do is get as strong as I can and kill something. And I think that there's a lot of times in which like a combat scenario in a TTRPG is genuinely like a really fun part of something, the same way that combat can be really fun in video games. And so I'm never somebody who's going to be like, people who just love combat in TTRPGs are the worst kind of players. Like, that's not what I'm talking about, but it feels like this is also in conversation with like, oh, you like to be really strong? Here you go. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this?
Yeah. I just, yes, to everything you said. I'm just like looking at this page more, and like when you use a move successfully, you answer a question with that move, and the question for eliminate is, will you remember them all? And you either no or yes. And it's just like, the game wants you to feel bad. Like, the game is just saying, like, this is not what this game is about. And if you're going to try and make it be about this, you're going to have like an emotionally complicated time at least.
But I also love that it makes that a choice, right? Like you can opt into that experience.
If you look at I went back to the character sheets.
Oh, sure.
That's part of the work-life balance, is if you have marked a box on your anomaly track, you ask the team that question.
Oh, shit.
And then you mark on the track of the one that gets the most votes.
Oh. Well, no. So for eliminate, it specifically says only you answer this question.
Oh, only you answer this question.
Yeah. But I think that also makes that more impactful because it's like, you know, it's like you made this choice. Like, are you going to remember? Like, you know, it's just like it's really trying to pull like narrative and like emotionality out of this this type of play.
Yeah.
Which is it's so cool. Anyway, game design, I guess.
Yeah, my other favorite little gag was when it's talking about harm, and it says 1 harm, enough force to kill an average human, 2+ harm, worse. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, that works for me.
Yep.
There's a callback to that, and I don't know if it's right near that or if it's later, but there's another thing where it's talking about like some horrendous thing that could happen, and then the next option is worse.
I believe that is when like more anomalous harm happens. It kind of goes into more detail, and it's like, 3 is a body contorted into a perfect spiral, a halo of darkness, hovering above a corpse, whispering a name best left unspoken. 4+, worse.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Worse.
So
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that every 3 is red. It's just like a running.
It's so good.
It's so funny. Yeah. And anytime there's a number, like a choice to be made, like a critical in this game, you're always rolling 6 D4, because 6 is it has 3 in it. But a critical success is rolling 3 threes, not 6.
Right.
It's so funny.
Is that true when the game flips? Is it still considered a critical success? Like,
yeah. I mean, well, so you treat it like a critical success, right? It doesn't generate any chaos. Where'd the page go? And then you get to do a certain amount of things. But technically it's not creating any chaos. So
it's critical from the perspective of the age. Like it's what the agency wants to happen because there's no chaos being created.
Exactly. Yeah. Employee of the moment. You can get 3 commendations is one of the things you can do when you roll a transcendence.
Yeah. I was trying to suss out reading the rules. Like if once everything's revealed to you, if that ends up being a good thing for the player. But I couldn't quite figure that out.
The interesting thing is that you can always spend quality assurances. So like you could spend a quality assurance to make you have 3 or 4 threes instead of 3. Like you could kind of spin it to make sure that you have chaos. Yeah, but that is very interesting. And so I think touching on that, into the second half of the book, the general manager toolkit, we are introduced to the second voice, who is this blue text that has been popping up the entire time. The first thing it says over the table of contents is you go around reading irrevocable contract sentences all the time. Very funny, very good. And then, it basically, the GM toolkit is basically like what this game, like this is where the juice of the game really is. I think maybe for better and for worse, because I feel like we talked about a lot how like it's very cool like putting us in oppositional positions and not oppositional, but Robin, what did you say? It was
asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical, yeah, putting you in these asymmetrical positions. But I think does then put a whole lot of pressure on the GM to be like, make sure they're getting demerits, but make sure it's not too obvious that you want them to get demerits. Like it's like putting you in this fun position. But was there anything in? I mean, there's some design stuff in the beginning of this that I think is very fun, where the whole page turns blue, and like I like how it's the anomaly is just like talking over the agency here, and then it's eventually like, you know what, fuck it, I will explain to you what this stuff is.
Yeah.
The page that stuck out to me immediately was it's time for a change in management.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just like the moment that I realized like, oh, we're not just going to get like a meta layer narratively. We're also about to get some like sick ass visuals.
Yes. Yeah. And they really are fucking sick. Like it goes the hell off.
Yeah.
And then I like it's a feast for the eyes to look at all this stuff, and then eventually the agency like gains control again, and like shuts down the program, quote unquote, that like you're looking at on your quote unquote computer, which is actually the book of the game. And so then you're just like the rest of the book from page 162 to wherever the playwall starts is a computer screen. This is like what Kim from my co-host on .zip says. It's a game where you go on the computer. This is a game where you go on the computer.
A book where you go on the computer.
It's a book where you go on the computer. And it's just miraculous that this is a thing in this book, first of all, but that it like reads so well. And then once it, I don't know, it's just another thing of design language. Like it understands so well, like what makes computer UI readable and then how they can make that almost not readable, by like, you know, bringing it back to like NeoCities or whatever the fuck. It's just
fucking
so
RuneScape.
So much fun.
The whole section that's RuneScape killed me.
Yeah, that's definitely I think when it becomes the computer is when I think I would read it better on my funny enough on a physical version, because the sheer amount of text
Oh yeah.
was like
it's really
overwhelming me with
actually,
the way I was reading it as spreads. I was like, oh, I cannot do this right now.
Yeah. I don't know if this is because this is my second time reading through this part or if it is because it is on a computer, but I had the exact opposite experience reading it on the computer. I'm like, oh, I fully get this now. Like reading it in the book, I'm like, there's so much going on. At this point, I'm just like appreciating what's happening lore-wise. I'll get the rules later.
That's how I read it this time. I was just vibing out, waiting for y'all to
I was
see the
definitely
details.
vibing. I feel like this is the kind of stuff that like every game has, that you just, there is a point when you're reading a tabletop RPG where you get to the section and you're like, this is not going to sink in until I have applied it in some way, or maybe I walk away from it and I come back to it later. Like it is going really in depth into like what it means to make a, an adventure, and like how to create an NPC and, you know, what kind of things to give them to do, and all of that. It's like, it's very dense. So it makes sense that it could genuinely just be like a second read thing.
Yeah. I think we haven't actually like fully said it out loud, I don't think. The second voice in the book is an anomaly that is trapped within the Triangle Agency, that has been trying to get out and talk to you and tell you that everything the agency is like working for is bad, actually. And they want the world to be like, I don't know, like boring and like safe for them, for the agency. And they want you to be the agent of that. And this part of the book like really introduces this idea of like, I mean, I think you could get there before you get to this half, but like the agency hates anomalies. Like they hate anomalous things, and the field agents are field agents because they are anomalous. Like they are resonants because they have experienced some sort of thing that has given them this anomaly power. And so like the agency itself views the field agents as expendable, basically.
Right.
Because there's a flow chart at some point.
Is this 144?
Is it 144? Is that where it is? I couldn't find it. Yeah. At 144. And it starts out as human, and then you can either combine with an anomaly, and then you become a resonant, and then you either join the agency or you become a horrific monster. And like those, and then the agency has to kill you, and like that's how it works. There is no option where a resonant person is able to just like be, because as long as there is a resonant person out there, they are like a quote unquote threat to the agency.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out too, because that is like where it's a few pages into the GM's rule book, so you're starting to get clues about what's happening. And that is a part where on this, diagram with all these red lines saying human combines with anomaly, becomes resident, joins agency, you become an agent, functionally immortal, and mostly human. And then from that, there is a blue squiggly line drawn that says quits, joins me, extremely powerful, everything goes great. And there's so much juice in just that one little bit, because it shows you like, not only is there this second voice happening in this book, there is a second sort of way to play. There's another game happening under this game that you can participate in or like push your players to participate in that has not been shown at all before. Like you get hints that weird stuff is going on, but there's no clue that there is like a sort of a second end game here. And this is the first time when it kind of really lets that slip that I think is like so good. And then the pages at the couple of pages after that are where I texted you saying I just got to the oh fuck yes section of the book, which is that change in management page where it just becomes this wash of blue and just bizarre design elements just kind of exploding everywhere. It's, I don't know. It's just it's so overwhelming to read. I like got a rush reading it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is the other great thing about that change in management page is that it is the blue of the anomaly bursting out of the red and white figure that has up to this point sort of been the mascot for the agency and also the mascot for like the concept of the player or the concept of playing the game. The mascot for the agency and the agent. And it's just like overtaken, covered in blue. Every angle is gone. It is all round and soft. It is all soft edges and spirals and not a straight line in sight. So clearly saying like, okay, here we fucking go.
Yes.
You know? Let's get crazy with it.
Yeah.
There's not to like spoil it, but if I don't know if you read, so there's we've referenced the playwall before, which is a section of like mostly like single page or like less than a single page documents that are explaining a thing about the game, an item that's in there, an ability, whatever. There's a series of them that are like the end of the game. Like there's a couple ways this game can end, and I guess not to say what it fully is, but the fact that there is a lot of like water imagery in these pages with the blue is very cool if you've read that document. There's some stuff going on there that I think is really fascinating that I don't necessarily want to spoil for people who don't want to know everything going in.
I really love pages 148 and 149. Just the text on, like, it's gorgeous to look at, but the text on this page,
the text,
I don't know. I kind of want to like read out on the show. What the agency calls ripples are infinitely variable and encompass the entirety of experience. Lumping anomalies under a single umbrella is as callous as comparing a koala to a meteor. Hearing it called the energy, which embraces all of reality and reacts dynamically, beautifully, and immediately to everything that occurs, a lobby, hurts worse than the machine they're using to keep me here. That, I was like, I read that the first time, I was like, this thing has character. Like, it's beyond just poking fun at the thing that's going on. Like, this is now like a character I care about in this game and can like motivate me as a player or a GM or whatever that might be.
Yeah, the way that they format the text there, like comparing it to a lobby, hurts worse than the machine they're using to keep me here. Like it's like they're slanted left and right different ways, and like the text size changes and stuff. It's really, really good.
So I'm gonna finally say what I was hinting to AJ earlier. I was like, AJ, I have something I really want to say, but I need your reaction to it. I know why you picked this book, and I know why you like this design so much, because this is fucking your shit as every goddamn warlock you've ever played. It is so, like, very AJ.
The book is a tome, and I'm possessed by it. You're so correct.
The book is making you the warlock.
Yeah. Oh, no. I was just like, damn, this is AJ shit, because this is being a warlock 101. And also, I just thought so many of the little comments that it makes on, like, the game design is like, that's shit that AJ has said about game design before.
Yeah.
Like, there was, I am fully falling asleep.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, this is AJ in a book form.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's another section here which is it's like going through the life cycle of an anomaly, and it says next, and then the blue cuts in. There's another page of this. Isn't this supposed to be a rule book? And then that's like right before it takes over. Yeah, fuck, you really got me. You're so right.
Damn.
This is exactly the type of shit. Like dark bargains and all that.
Yeah.
Ulterior motives. Damn.
That makes me think. Do you guys know of any other book like this where it is written in character, where it is a document in the game itself, or it is written by a character who is in the game? Like, I know there's some like D&D, like Mordenkaim's whatever,
Yeah.
but it's not the same thing because those are not like central characters in the game that you are playing. Like, it is fiction. It's fiction as much as it is a rule book. And that's like, that seems very, I've never encountered that, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I was just leaning back to look at my shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was like, all my rule books are packed up, so I have no idea. But to my knowledge, no.
Yeah. Not to my knowledge as well. I think like the closest comparison, and this is not even a book that I've read, like this feels like what people talk about House of Leaves as.
God, I haven't read House of Leaves yet, but wow, especially with the color and anomaly being blue, that really tracks actually.
The fucked up.
Twice in my life, I have checked House of Leaves out of the library and had it as long as I possibly could before it was due back. Like, renewed it 3 times and had it that whole time, and I still couldn't bring myself to open it. I'm too afraid of the undertaking of reading House of Leaves, even though I know I will have a good time.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is the first TTRPG rulebook that I've read. So I feel like if I were to read another one, I would be deeply spoiled.
This is the cream of the crop.
This is probably you're gonna be
in many ways. Yeah,
this is like a fun book to read in a way that, like, I have fun reading rule books, but that's about the specific way my brain is broken. Like, this is like an actual
No, I get you. I'm with you, Robin.
As far as other games that are also fiction, the only thing I can think of and this isn't a book that I've read deeply, so I don't think the whole thing is like this, but I know that Realis, which is a very recent TTRPG that's sort of like out of playtest or still in like late playtest right now, but from Austin Walker, sort of the creative lead on that one. There is like there's at least some part of Realis that is a book in like a text in the fiction of Realis, but I don't know if it's the whole thing the way that this is.
Yeah, I am struggling to think of any.
I mean, I ask because I can't think of any either.
Certainly none that like go
singular.
This far.
Yeah.
There are certainly none that go this like absolutely like deep into it.
Bye, Cooper.
Sorry, Cooper just came upstairs with this in his mouth.
Is that a remote to the lights?
Yeah, it's a remote for this like LED party lights we have.
Nice.
I'm going to give him his bone real quick.
He wants to turn on the party lights.
There's something from the Anomaly Retrieval Mysteries page, which I don't see a page number on. So
174. It's on Well, you have to go back to the when you get into the computer. The page numbers go away because you're not on a page anymore. You're on the computer. But the page number is on the table of contents for the GM section.
Well, and there are page numbers in the taskbar up until the anomaly hides the taskbar. When they're reorganizing the screen, they click hide taskbar.
So on the Anomaly Retrieval Mysteries page, there's a sentence that got my whole ass, so I wanted to read it out. The best advice I have for mysteries is that you can never have too many clues. If you want a piece of personal information to get through an agent's thick skull, you gotta tell them in like 7 different ways. If you give them only one way to learn something important, it had better be screaming directly at your agents the exact words, "I'm a clue." I felt personally attacked by this.
Oh, and then there's the blue paw print from Blue's Clues.
You must mention the Blue's Clues paw print next to that.
It does have a Blue's Clues paw print.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways, somebody who has consistently been at war with doors in TTRPGs, like just the act of opening a door taking like 30 minutes in game, it felt it resonated with me.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of this book I think is just very fun to look at, and that's kind of all I've got to say about it, to be totally honest.
There's a little guy.
There's the little guy.
I love
Little guy's
that
great.
little guy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite images is the little guy holding a pencil up after absolutely destroying like an MS Paint page to make the rules and saying this design stuff is easy. Looking up at me. That's on a really good art day, that's how it feels.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is also a good point. On the page right before the anomaly retrieval, at the end of that page, it says, give them lots of reasons to use their powers. You want them rolling the dice and making tons of chaos. Why? So you can spend it on chaos effects. And like, this is the stuff you were talking about, Matt, earlier of like, is Transcendence good actually? Because then you're not generating any chaos. Like you're kind of playing against the way that like the game is telling you to run it.
I want to reference something that's behind the playwall.
Yeah, sure.
I won't go too deep into it, but I do want to say that like we've talked about this like red and blue thing being the agency and the anomaly. There's a third color.
Yes.
That shows up behind the playwall.
Oh, yeah.
That directly references the player when you see it. And I will mostly leave it at that. But I think that it is a really interesting time and place to introduce like a third character, not literally character, but like a third character to this rulebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not like in the rest of the book. Like,
it's
like
used to identify the realities, reality like parts of it. So like what you
Yeah.
do when you're not at work.
Which is
but
cool.
Which I think is just also as interesting.
There are these like fighting three components that like they want to be where you end up. And I think it's so cool to see how they represent themselves. And the fact that the yellow one references the player instead of the character is also very cool for what it represents, because that's the color used for the reality track, which is like your mundane life outside of the agency.
I am a teacher's pet, so I didn't read any playwall stuff that wasn't directly called out in the other stuff that we read, so I don't know anything about this other one.
That means you missed the very cute drawing of mice playing around with a package of chewing gum on page 221.
Oh,
Wet mouth brand chewing gum.
Wet mouth brand.
I don't like it. I don't want it.
It's cute though.
Sorry, chewing gum and dietary supplement.
And dietary supplement. Yeah.
In that talk of the table conversation, which again will be in the show notes, I can't remember who it is, Caleb or Sean, is talking about like the reason this half of the book is like this, the reason the second voice exists is because the object of the game was always to, obviously have players roll chaos so that they can get demerits, so that they can spend that to like make their powers greater, stuff like that. But they were having a hard time figuring out how to have that remain in universe. Because the agency doesn't want you to do that. And so like they had this idea for a second voice, but they I don't know if it like wasn't exactly what it turned out to be at first or like whatever, but like that is the reason that the entire second half of this book, or I guess middle third of this book, I guess, exists in the way it does, is because they were like, we need to tell them how to break the rules without actually telling them that they should be breaking the rules, because like that's whatever. And I think that's honestly a really great way to do it, of like having the field agent half of it being like, no, you work for the agency, period. Like listen to what your GM says. And then to have the GM be like, no, you have to try and do this stuff is like kind of,
that's great. Like it's thematic. Like the idea is you are like rule following agents. And so when your GM tells you to do something, you assume it's what the agency wants, even if it's not really. Like it's so cool how everything in the rules is thematic of what the game is about. I don't know. It's just so well done.
Yeah. Well, and they say in that conversation as well, TTRPGs are tools for maintaining and supporting friendships, which I think is a beautiful thing. There's also a moment, sorry, I wanted to call out, there's a moment where it basically brings up like table safety.
Yes. That's
but in
so
a way,
good.
I called it out in the reading guide. That's where it was. Page 53. It calls out like, the goal is to make sure everybody's having fun, like make sure all agents are engaged and like having a good time. So make sure you're doing these check-ins. And the fact that like even this like soulless corporation or whatever, like in world is like, hey, make sure everybody's having a good time. Don't do anything weird or racist.
Well, the cool thing about it though is that it's in the rules. Like, so there's the way that when you roll a hand of, a set of dice, what you're doing, one thing you can do is the agency has power to like manipulate reality. And so if you want something to have happened, you roll dice, and if you get the correct result, it happened. It gives examples of like, there was a traffic jam, and so the person you're chasing can't get away. And when that happens, you have to create, the players together have to create what they call a causality chain, which is you have to make up a convincing reason that this thing would have happened, and then you roll, and if you roll high enough, it happens. And the way that it presents this thing that you're talking about, AJ, is I'll just read from it here. Asking the agency in the following situations does not require rules or a causality chain will automatically succeed. And it's adjusting physical reality to ensure accessibility for agents, adjusting a target's mind to overcome or eliminate discriminatory behavior, or repairing, replacing, or creating accessibility devices. So it's not only saying like you get to have these things if you as a player want them. It's saying like the power of the agency itself will rewrite reality to make these things true without you needing to expend effort to do so, which is like, again, just like the way that this book is so like, it never breaks character. And it's like, I don't know, I read that and I was just like, it's so good to like both acknowledge those things like in any way in a rule book, and also make it fictional at the same time that it's a rule. Like it's just so smart.
Yeah. I think the final thing I kind of want to touch on here is just kind of broadly that idea we brought up talking about the gun. About how this game, or this book itself, and I guess this game by extension, is in itself in conversation with all other TTRPGs in a way that I think is like so well considered and like doesn't hedge at all. You know, like I think it's very clear the kind of game they want you to be playing when you're playing Triangle Agency. You know, like this is not the kind of game that's like you can do whatever you want. It's like this is a game we're telling a very specific type of story, and we're telling it in a very specific way for very specific reasons. And I just really admire that about a game when it like it can acknowledge that like they can acknowledge what its purpose is, I guess, for lack of a better word, in terms of like, what are we trying to get out of this? And I just keep thinking back to the TTRPGs are tools for maintaining and supporting friendships. Cause like at the end of the day, like that should be what it is. And like building in the asymmetry with the GM and the players, and like having all of these different things that the players can do with demerits or commendations, or between their three, like you play this game in three like pieces. Like when you're on a mission, you're playing with your anomaly. Then there are also reality parts of the game where you're like playing out the downtime of your real life when you're not at work. And then there's like the office fantasy part of it where you're like actually in the office doing like your barista job or whatever. Like it is a game that I think many people could find a bit too prescriptive in terms of like how it wants you to be playing. But like I don't know. I'm not one of those people. I think that this is like, I want to be playing these stories, and I want to be playing the game in the way that the game wants me to be playing it, you know, because it's every game is going to end up being like, if you're playing the GM as a character, every game is going to end up at some point with the character of the GM being like, finally, you're here. You finally understand. We have to do whatever, you know, like, and there are multiple endings in the play wall. Like there are other ways to be playing this, so you can kind of like go with how your players want to do it. But like, in my mind, the canon ending is like getting the field agents to the same level of knowledge that the GM has, and then being like, okay, how can we solve this problem together now? And then you actually, I'm like getting goosebumps talking about this, a game that I've never actually played, but like you finally, a thing that is so rare in tabletop games, you get to all together have a singular goal and work toward that goal, like GM included. And not to say that GM's always, you know, in opposition to players and stuff, but like in a way it's like we're all pointing in the same direction here. I'm not guiding you. We are all going, you know? It's just like so cool. And I'm excited to eventually play this game someday.
Same. Yeah. I think another beautiful thing about that is it gives you an in-text reason not to just tell them this is what we're doing. Like, it's like if the agency figures out what you're doing, it's over. So you have to deceive them in a way in order to get them to a point where you can stop deceiving them. Like, it's so good.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention with your like thing about like spending the time in your barista, in like your office job and all that stuff. I'm somebody who really like loves a downtime session in a game where you just kind of like, hey, let's remember that, you know, it's the filler episode, but I like that even with these filler episodes, like looking at the way that it mechanically works, you get rewards for what you decide to spend your time doing. If you're like, hey, I want to like spend time working at the office, you're gonna get access to something behind the playwall that is going to affect the way that your character can continue to operate in this game.
This all, like, your comment, especially about this being in conversation with other games, really makes me so curious about how a person who has not played tabletop games before would react to this. Like, coming across this book and being like, I'm going to play this. But I think, like, reading it is different from like reading it to play. You know what I mean? Like to understand the rules. And it makes me, for one, very curious about if this would be like comprehensible, but it also kind of makes me want a game that like never drops the veil and is like, I'm imagining a rule book that is entirely in fiction and you just have to like divine the rules from that. I don't know if that would be even possible, but I don't know.
It would be very difficult.
It would be very difficult for sure.
Because as much as I love TTRPG rulebooks, some of them are not written well.
Yes.
And you already basically have to divine the rules.
I feel like I've never experienced like a serious role play focused LARP, but like the stories that I've heard about LARPing feel like that could get closer to like that experience.
Yeah. That's a really interesting question, Robin. I do think it is notable though that multiple times throughout this episode, more than one of us has said like this is a work of fiction, you know, as much as it is a rule book. And so like we are like. I'm very interested in the approach you're talking about, but like I don't know how much farther you can lean into the straight fiction without it becoming like ARG adjacent, you know, where it's like, okay, we have to solve the riddles here of like what is a fireball spell or whatever, you know,
or it's just like a lyric game that, you know.
I do love ARGs though.
I do. Well, some of this like really does feel like an ARG already.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially with the playwall kind of stuff going on.
A game with spoilers is just so fucking cool. That's just so sick. That's so sick. I think that's all I have to say about Triangle Agency.
Until you play it.
Until I play it. Yeah. Cool. To the back matter. Right? Is that how this works?
Go for it.
Sure.
I've brought this up a couple of times. Caleb and Sean were on Talk at the Table talking about their crowdfunding campaign. That episode is just called Triangle Agency, the paragon of crowdfunding. That's a really great conversation. They talk about the funder. They talk about the game itself, the philosophy behind it, all that stuff. They also do a follow-up that came out a couple of weeks ago, actually, which is a live show where they are talking about Triangle Agency 2 years later, which I think is also a very fun conversation. Basically it's just like people really like the game and it's been really wild to see how people have kind of taken the game. And then the last piece of back matter here is a video from Quinn's Quest, like 2 weeks ago at time of recording.
Really good timing.
Really serendipitous timing. Quinn's over on Quinn's Quest, previously from Shut Up and Sit Down, currently also with People Make Games. He's the tall British one. He has a channel where he talks about TTRPGs and he reviewed Triangle Agency. And it's a really interesting video because he doesn't love it, but he's like constantly hedging like, I had a really terrible time with this, but my players were just telling me how it was like the most fun game they've ever played in. But as a GM, there were times where I felt like I wanted to like pull my hair out.
It's
so
stressful. I
yeah,
can see
he's
that.
like, they like got into I think session like 3 or something, and he was like, not to like spoil the beginning of this video, I guess, but they got into session 3, and he's like, I think we have to like find a way to the end of this, and they were like, really? I'm having a great time, and he's like, I am so stressed out, please, which I think is so interesting. But like the whole video, he's like heaping praise on the game, and like he really hates the 3 gag. Anytime like the number 3 comes up or like a derivative of 3, he just like he notices a couple in the video that he didn't notice while he was writing the script, and so he like stops a few times. He's like, "That's a fucking 3."
I've noticed some as we record it.
Yeah.
Like they're really in
everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I got for back matter.
Can I add one thing to the back matter? Because I was looking at Haunted Table Games Patreon.
Oh yeah.
And literally 6 hours ago,
oh my god,
they announced their new project for Triangle Agency, which is Triangle U. So it is a whole setting. It is a setting guide and book of missions dedicated to a specific location, Cartersfield University, and the surrounding town.
Oh my!
A strange effect makes the university especially resilient to change, but anomalies are born there all the time.
Holy shit!
Wow. So yeah, they are making a setting and book of missions, and they are doing. You get to see step by step on Patreon, and it says our goal with this project is to make general management easier for a wider range of players, and so we're developing the setting to take maximum advantage of Triangle Agency's strengths.
Wow,
interesting.
So there's also going to be new GM guidance and all this stuff. So it seems like a very cool thing. I personally, as someone who has DM'd a lot of different games, I always appreciate when there are example games that you can run before jumping in and making it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, they just announced that they're doing a little setting book. So I might go ahead and sub to that Patreon right now.
Hell yeah.
A college setting sounds so fun.
Yeah, that sounds very sick. Their website also is just hauntedtable.games. But all that stuff will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. In Sequence is a member of the Worst Garbage Podcast Network. You can find us at theworstgarbage.online. Panelists, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah. I'm going to give the link youtube.com/@flowstatecrit this week.
Hell yeah.
That is my YouTube channel. And Lex and I just did a video about the game Consume Me. I think I mentioned that would be coming out last time.
Good video.
And yeah, there's a lot going on over there.
Hell yeah. I mean, this will be old news by the time this episode is out, but Scout and I just put out the first episode of the new season of Paws and Claws. Very excited about that. That's my main big thing is my other podcast that I do.
Just the normal stuff for me. You can go to robinb.card.co to get links to Girl Mode, my other podcast, and to Parallel Players, my stream, and my writing, I guess, which is my job. That's it.
You can find me on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Humble Goat. You can see the art that I do, including our podcast cover art, at scoutwilkinson.myportfolio.com. And like Jill, just excited for the new season of Paws and Claws. And I will pitch, if you are maybe new to this episode because you're interested in TTRPGs but don't know a lot about comics, give another episode of this podcast a listen. If you enjoyed our discussion here, it looks a lot like the other discussions we have. We just talk about comics more than tabletop stuff.
Neat.
And usually Scout gives us some big art knowledge at some point in the episode.
Sometimes I go gremlin mode and I'm like, so let me tell you about the way that green didn't appear in this until it was in. Yeah.
I am currently editing a section of an episode where Scout goes deep talking about how somebody draws puke.
Nice. Hell yeah.
You know what? Yeah. This episode's coming on a Halloween, right? Or this is our right around there.
It comes out right before Halloween.
Yeah. I will.
Happy Halloween.
This is nothing to do with me, but I will say if you want to find a good horror tabletop game that is also kind of unlike most other games, give Dread a try. That is a wild game that uses it uses a falling block tower for legal purposes to simulate the.
I've always wanted to try playing Dread.
Or
that sounds so
10
fun.
candles or 13 candles, some number of candles.
10
Scout
candles.
Knows
10 candles. Scout knows all about 10
right.
candles, right,
Which,
Scout?
there's some cool stuff about that book.
Yeah, 10 Candles. I did musical theater with the author of 10 Candles, and when we were kids. And I did some of the interior illustrations for the second edition, and in both editions did stuff like the the iconography for the candles and stuff. So check that one out. Yeah. I've heard really good things about that one too.
Comes up in that talk of the table conversation, actually.
Wow.
I also want to say, in the In Sequence channel in the TWG Discord, I posted this, but we're going to be reading Witch Hat Atelier for the November 27th episode of the show. And I bring this up on the show because we're reading volumes 1 through 9. So if you would like to read with us, you probably would want to start now, because that is a lot of manga to read.
It's a lot of really good manga, though.
Yeah, it's real good manga. You can find everything we're going to be reading on the website. If you scroll down to the bottom of any page, there's like links. Usually I try and link out to Hoopla because it is supported by some libraries. And if I don't have that, I'll try and link out to bookshop.org and then I'll kind of go from there. But you can see what we're reading. And then there's like a page that has all of our previous reads as well if you click on Read With Us.
Cool. And you can find me at .zip.online, where we are finishing up our October series of spooky games. But actually last week, it hasn't happened yet at time of recording, but last week at time of release of this episode, we just talked about the October Next Fest on Steam. Time of recording, that happens in about 2 weeks, and I am dreading it. So many video games.
Already getting codes.
Such a
There's a lot happening.
Is that why I'm getting codes all of a sudden? I didn't even know there was a Next Fest coming up.
Yep.
Like I've been saying, they just keep throwing these things.
They do not stop. Yeah.
They had a missed opportunity. They should have called it Next Oktoberfest with a K in it.
Damn.
Oh, sure. You should send Gabe a letter.
Yeah.
Hey.
Why don't you just call Gabe up?
Call Gabe up.
Dear Mr. Gabriel.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks for joining us, AJ.
Thanks for hosting, AJ.
Absolutely.
Thank you for hosting, AJ.
I'm always here. It's totally natural and wasn't frightening at all for me. Support your local library and comic shop. Bye.
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 TWG, the worst garbage, online.